We really are in the dark days of summer, are we not? Not a lot of LSU sports going on. Actually, no LSU sports going on as we are preparing for August the 30th when LSU takes on Clemson, which that does feel like a long way away as we are only here on July the 9th, 2025, the year of our Lord. But boy, we are in the dog days of summer. Now, I do think some things start picking up next week as Brian Kelly is on Monday going to be at SEC Media Days, and it's going to be a fun affair. But, man, I saw some things yesterday. You know, I saw yesterday the comment from Texas Tech head coach Joey McGuire, and I was like, oh, okay, cool. The comments that he's making at Big 12 Media Days and saying to himself, hey, I saw Coach Brian Kelly roll out there and say, hey, we want to play some Big Ten teams. Hey, Coach, Texas Tech would love to play a home-and-home series with you. And all of a sudden, I'm just seeing headlines more locally than anything, too. But I'm seeing some headlines. Texas Tech head coach Joey McGuire takes shot at Brian Kelly at LSU. And I'm like, wait a minute. Are you talking about the thing that I heard Joey McGuire say yesterday in reference to LSU and Brian Kelly? Like, wait, you thought that was a shot, or did he say something else? And lo and behold, he didn't say anything else. And all Joey McGuire went out there and did yesterday at Big 12 Media Days was say, and I'm quoting, you know, I saw Coach Brian Kelly over at LSU say that he wanted to play some Big Ten teams. Well, hey, here at Texas Tech, we would love to play a home-and-home with LSU. That's a shot? Wait, you mean to tell me that Joey McGuire, the head coach of Texas Tech, took a shot by saying, hey, LSU, would y'all like to do a home-and-home series? That's a shot. Guys, we are in the dog days of summer. Now, Texas Tech, by the time that you would get them scheduled or on your schedule for whatever or whenever year that you would play them, my question would be is, you know, Texas Tech, for all of the things that we make of them, boy, they're spending a shitload of money in recruiting. The portal, they're going to get the top offensive lineman in the country. Yes, that Texas Tech is going to get the number one offensive lineman in the country in Felix Ojo. Is Texas Tech trying to buy their way and being the powerhouse of the Big 12? That might be something that we look at. LSU just scheduled a home-and-home with SMU. Why wouldn't we go play Texas Tech? Let's go play Texas Tech in Lubbock. Why not? Be a really fun time. By the way, you recruit the state of Texas very, very heavily. We are in the dog days of summer when you know that we're trying to make something bigger than what it is. And I'm all for coming out here and doing a good rant. I'm all for coming out here and yelling into a microphone and saying, this Rudy Poo, Joey McGuire takes a shot at LSU. But, guys, it's not. So for all the discord that has come on with Joey McGuire, the Texas Tech head coach, over the last couple of days, I just got to say this. Okay, schedule him. Guys, you played UCLA and USC this year. What did it matter? What did it matter? Instead of playing another team like Northwestern State, you played UCLA at home. Sounds good. It's a bigger brand, closer game. Sounds good to me. You know, I do think of these situations. If Texas Tech wants to line up and do it, why don't we go over there and do it? I will tell you this about Texas Tech. Guys, I cover college football on a year-around basis. If you haven't done so already, go over to Rufino and Joe Show. Do me a favor and subscribe there if you haven't done so already. And in our constant 365-day-a-year coverage of all of college football, I will tell you this. I love what I'm seeing out of Texas Tech. I absolutely love every single thing that they're doing. Oh, Blake, you love that they're out there going and buying players? Well, guys, yeah, a little bit. I admire the shit out of it because at least I know that they're not trying to sit on their laurels and sit on their money. They want to go be very competitive. So what? They get one of them. Well, the truth is, guys, they have a top 25 recruiting class right now. Now, I don't know if that gets better or worse, but it's number one in the Big 12. Sounds good to me. It's better than, well, basically what SMU's doing in recruiting to some extent in the same state. And I do think that there's a little bit of a shot there from Joey McGuire, for what it's worth, in reference to them doing a home and home with SMU over doing a home and home with Texas Tech. I don't mind it. Now, did Joey McGuire take Brian Kelly out of context? Yes. In case you don't remember, Brian Kelly during the offseason went on Game Day, College Game Day. They do a podcast now because I guess everybody does a podcast. We've been here loyal to you since 2017, by the way. Just throwing that out there. Not full-time, but you know what I mean. Regardless of that, everybody wants to do a podcast now, and it's fun. If you haven't done one, you should do one. It's really fun to have conversations about shit that you want to talk about. It's really fun. There just comes a point in time for me when Brian Kelly goes on the Game Day podcast and says, hey, coach, which Pete Thamel asked him on the show, on the podcast. They asked Brian Kelly, hey, your commissioner, Greg Sankey, and the commissioner of the Big Ten, Tony Bettini, has gone out there and said that the SEC and Big Ten want to schedule each other in the regular season in week 1. What do you think about it? And Brian Kelly says, yeah, bring on the Big Ten teams. Sounds good. We played 2 of them last year. We'll play more if they want to play. Sounds good to me. And that was the context. And what's so funny about that is it tells you that coaches, whether you believe this or not, or they go out to SEC Media Days next week, which they will, because all of them will go out to SEC Media Days next week, and they will say, oh, I don't see any of your storylines. And guys, that's just bullshit. It's just bullshit. You know, Nick Saban was infamous in saying rat poison. You guys in the media feed rat poison. Well, Nick, how would you know if you're not reading it? How would you know if you're not reading it? It just goes to the point in saying that even with the smallest headline that comes out on 247, On 3, Yahoo, Sports Illustrated, whatever, AYS, whatever it is, sometimes content's being created in reference to what Joey McGuire goes on Twitter and sees. Hey, Brian Kelly says the headline, Brian Kelly wants to play Big Ten teams. Well, he's responding to the commissioners wanting to play one another. It's not Brian Kelly just out of aloof going out there and saying, hey, I want to play Big Ten teams. We are in the dog days of summer. When we're getting this worked up, when some in our media corps, our own media corps, getting this worked up, Joey McGuire took a shot at LSU. No, he didn't. No, he didn't. Taking a shot is what College Game Day actually did to Brian Kelly about not winning week 1 games. That's a shot. It's also the truth, but it is a shot. Nevertheless, we are live. Everyone do us a favor by hitting the like and share, by the way. Share to all those groups and social media pages. We greatly, greatly appreciate y'all doing that. Tonight's docket, we're going to talk a little bit about Lamar Brown. He does commit tomorrow. Now, we will be live at 1 p.m. Central Standard Time tomorrow. Got some more family things that we're doing here in the offseason. My wife is going to her, going and doing a family function. So we're going to be live immediately following, not immediately, but either 1 p.m. or right after Lamar Brown's commitment on him picking Texas A&M, LSU, Miami, and others. So we'll break that down tomorrow at 1. But we will talk about that a little bit tonight. Carius Kern, is he on his path to becoming a starter? We'll talk about that. Last week, we did an offensive deep dive. Tonight, we're going to do an LSU defensive deep dive, what we think about them going in before SEC Media Days. We'll give some thoughts on that as well. And if we have time at the end, as we always do, thoughts, questions, concerns. We'll get to as many of them as we can. Andrew on YouTube says, the thing that worries me the most about this football team is Joe Sloan's play calling, the offensive line, and running game. Oh, goodness. Spectrum Wellcare says he agrees. I do worry about the running game. I do question personally, and I don't know more than these guys, but if you're asking me, I do question a lot of the play calling decisions. I don't understand the run game schemes at all. Our good friend Stephen Fry, a.k.a. Bo Wallace, is in the building. He says, it's time. 5 rounds in the UFC heavyweight division. Introducing first, out of the blue corner, standing 5 foot, a.k.a. Bruce Buffer. If Bruce Buffer better watch out. I might clip that and send that to Dana White, saying, hey, you know what? I want to do one intro before with Bruce Buffer, when they come to New Orleans and Dustin Poirier fights Max Holloway. A lot of people ask me if I wanted to go. I wouldn't mind going, but I'm not going to buy tickets. So if any of you are going and you have an extra ticket, let a boy know. Tyler Washington says, let's go. What up, Blake? Listening in the 3-2-1. Yeah. Or the 3-2-3, excuse me. The 3-2-3. Where is the 3-2-3? Where is the 3-2-3? Would love to know. Philip Rose says, hey, Blake, on a local radio show today, 2 head coaches are on the hot seat this year if they don't make it to the playoffs. LSU and Alabama head coaches were the 2 names that are mentioned. Philip, I don't agree with either one of those. They're not firing Kalen DeBoer if he goes 9-3 again and doesn't make the playoffs. He's not on the hot seat. If he keeps going 9-3, he's not going to be on the hot seat. In reference to Brian Kelly, do I think his seat will warm up? Maybe. I just don't see if he goes 9-3 again this year or 8-4, 9-3 that you're going to fire a coach and pay him $50 million not to be here. I don't see it. I just do not see that happening. No. Again, can Blake Ruffino be wrong? Yes, but I just don't see it. Plano, Texas, it's Noah Mason, and he's always in the building, is Noah Mason. Good to have you in here, buddy. Darian says, listening from Little Rock, Arkansas. Yeah, today we went through our numbers, by the way. And because the 4th of July, we didn't do this. About the 5th of every month, if you want to know about the business, Blake Ruffino goes through all the numbers for the month. What do we do? What do we not do? What can we be better at? Whatever. And in that, boy, did we have some Little Rock listeners last month. Now, obviously, that comes on the fact of LSU playing Arkansas and Omaha. But, boy, Little Rock showed up and showed out to listen to an LSU podcast. How about that? Bingo says, did Lamar already announce his commitment, or is it still coming up? Been busy all day. He is not committed yet. That will be tomorrow. Charlie says the 3-2-3 is in Cali. Why do I feel like that was in a song? Like, me, yeah, the 3-2-3. Yeah, maybe it is. John Sibley Butler says, last year Clemson could not stop the run during the playoff game. I wonder if they have improved. Dr. Butler, I'll just say this. That is a massive question mark for me, too. And even to that, Dr. Butler, I would say this. There were times, all of their losses last year for Clemson, they couldn't stop the run. It was their Achilles heel, really and truthfully. And they got just manhandled up front. They couldn't run the ball when they needed to, and they couldn't stop the run. Does that sound familiar to any LSU fans? Does that sound familiar? I mean, if it does, then great. Bert says, listening from H-Town via Crowley, Louisiana. H-Town, stand up. My son has been asking, believe it or not, speaking of H-Town, I was looking if the Astros played the Yankees anytime this year. I was going to take them to an Astros-Yankees game if they played later on in the year. Speaking of H-Town, Ben has been on one with Major League Baseball, my son. Dude, quiz my man. My brother was here today. I got to see my brother today, and he was kind of quizzing my son, Ben. Don't question this 6-year-old. Don't do it. He going to make you feel dumb. I promise you. I know people say that about their sons. He will make you feel dumb. He will make you feel dumb. Don't do it. He's funny when he does it as well. LSU Hyper on YouTube says, Blake, if any team's coach should be on the hot seat, it should be Billy Napier. Maybe. I mean, it depends on what they do. Penn State Sports Talk says facts. Penn State Sports Talk. Good to have you in here, man. Good to have you in here. Glad that you're listening to an LSU-centric show. We're about to get to it here. All right, let's get moving here. Everybody do us a favor by hitting the like and share to all of those groups if you're on Facebook and to all those social media pages. You're watching us, listening to us on YouTube. Like, subscribe, notification bell, and wherever you listen to podcasts, rate, review, and subscribe. Let me get to a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk about Lamar Brown. Where is he going to land tomorrow? Carius Curran. Could he start on the offensive line as a true freshman? We'll do a deep dive for LSU defense as we did last week for the LSU offense. We'll give some thoughts there. And if we have time at the end, we'll get to some thoughts, questions, and concerns. Let me go pay some bills right quick. When we come back, we got a lot of LSU football stuff to talk about next. Stay with us. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way for you to wager on all of your favorite sports, contests, events with the first-to-market odds and lines. Find reviews for all the news for each league, including Major League Baseball, NFL, NBA, NHL, combat sports, college sports, esports, and even golf. BetOnline continues to be the top online resource for all of your sports information for live in-game betting, props, and futures. Head on over to BetOnline today and use your mobile device to join and make your first sports bet. Use our promo code BELIEVE50, that's BELIEVE50, BLEAV 50, to receive your 50% off welcome bonus on your first deposit. That's betonline.ag, betonline.ag.
He will sell your house and find you a new. Well, Tyler's the man, he's here for you. If you want to buy or sell, well, it's not too late. Dial 955-0008. Just call 955-0008. Y'all call Tyler, he'll shoot you straight.
Hey, Southwest Louisiana, are you ready to gear up for your next outdoor adventure or tackle that next big job on the farm? Then head on over to Henderson Tractors, Boats, and Power Sports. At Henderson and Lake Charles, they've got everything you need under one massive 30,000 square foot indoor showroom. Kubota tractors and mowers to power through the toughest tasks. Polaris off-road bikes and side-by-sides to conquer any trail. And tracker boats with brands like Ranger, Nitro, Sun Tracker, and Regency pontoons for a day out on the water. Whether you're a farmer or a hunter or just someone who loves the great outdoors, Henderson has what you need to get the job done and have fun while doing it. Browse their new and used inventory over at their website, hendersonimplement.com. That's hendersonimplement.com. Or give them a call today at 337-436-4366. That's 337-436-4366. Or go see them over in Lake Charles on the corner of East McNee Street and Highway 14. Remember, if you need a tractor, go to Henderson. Need a boat, go to Henderson. Or if you need an ATV or side-by-side, you know where to go. Henderson. Just let them know that your good friend Blake Ruffino over at AYS sent you on by. Guys, let me tell you about our good friends over at Grand Slam Heating and Air, where your comfort is their top priority. At Grand Slam Heating and Air, they promise to provide customers with high-quality HVAC service at an affordable price while ensuring the homeowner peace of mind. From their office to your home, they guarantee the best hassle-free experience around. Efficiency and comfort is their game. Let them make your home Grand Slam today. At Grand Slam Heating and Air, they're offering their annual maintenance plan starting off at $18.75 a month and also doing those $99 tune-up promotions. They provide free estimates for system and ductwork replacement, as well as offering financing to get the job done with no money up front. From Baton Rouge to Hammond to Covington, they're all around. So what you need to do today, give them a call at 225-380-9065. That's 225-380-9065. Or go over to their website, getgrandslamair.com. That's getgrandslamair.com, where your comfort is their top priority. We're back. Okay. Let's get to it here. Ninja says on YouTube, yes, 10-2 at best is what we need. 9-3, I doubt would be enough because too much controversy. If you're talking about Brian Kelly, I guys, barring a really bad year, I just don't see it. And I think it's got to be very bad. Like very bad. I mean, and I think you're way too talented to get to very bad. I mean, you are better. I think you are better this year than you were a season ago by far, and you went 8-4. The question is can you win 2 more games and get into the playoff? Is really the question that you got to answer here. All right. So LSU 5-star, the number one player in the country. No, number one player in the country. Number one player in the state. He says, Blake, no, I mean LSU makes a playoff at 10-2. They do make the playoff at 10-2. Any SEC team that goes to 10-2, they will, and Big Ten team for that matter, will probably get in to some degree there as well. Nevertheless, 5-star, Lamar Brown, athlete, offense, defensive lineman, number one recruit in the state of Louisiana, is set to make his commitment tomorrow. We'll actually be live, not immediately following his commitment, but around 1 o'clock, just after he makes his commitment. I'm pretty sure on ESPN2, I think I saw. Regardless of that, Lamar Brown will be committing tomorrow. Things have gone radio silent here. And I know we talked about this a lot on Monday, so I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on this segment right now. We will talk a lot about Lamar Brown tomorrow, but because he is committing tomorrow, he's the number one player in your state. I think we need to take one more final look at this. Gus, I do think that you need Lamar Brown, okay? I don't think that I'm never going to say that one overall recruit is going to make or break your class. It doesn't make or break your team. I do think for these high-profile situations, especially right now with the House Settlement case, NIL Go, the College Sports Commission, recruiting is things that you're working through right now. Guys, the true reality of it, regardless of what position this young man plays, whether he's going to be in the interior of the offensive line, whether he's going to play the defensive line, I don't know what LSU wants to do with him. I'm not even going to pretend like they even know technically what they want to do with him yet. I mean, they did put him in a photo shoot with Richard Anderson, who's the number 2 player in your state, who is a defensive lineman out of Edna Carr, New Orleans. Bottom line is this. Guys, you're in a dogfight. And if you win this one tomorrow, and I'm just going to speak positively when you win this one tomorrow, but really if in reality, when you win this one tomorrow and you win this battle versus A&M, you got to give Brian Kelly a round of applause. You need to celebrate it because, guys, quite honestly, so many things in college football have changed. NIL, portal, coaching. Guys, the greatest coach of all time is not in your conference anymore because he retired and you're not playing him anymore. So many things have changed over the last 3 years. You can make of it what you will, because the truth is the teams that win up front are the teams that are making the playoff. They are the teams that are winning their conferences, and guys, they're the teams that are winning national titles. The likelihood of an offensive lineman and really even defensive lineman that is to the star quality as Lamar Brown, they're not in the portal like that. Some of them, because of certain situations, are. Like Caden Proctor goes in the portal last year because Nick Saban retires, but he winds himself because of reasons being back in Alabama. Regardless of all of that, you got to land the number one player in your state because, number one, he's extremely talented. He's a top 10 kid in the country. He's the number one player in your state. And by the way, you lost the number 3 guy in the state, and Blaine Bradford, in your own backyard. You cannot, from a perception level, allow anyone, A&M included, come in here, anybody, come in here in Baton Rouge and have 2 schools, one from your conference and the reigning national title contender, come into your city and take the 2 best prospects in that city. It cannot happen. It just cannot happen for perception alone. Now, don't know if that's going to happen. And quite honestly, I want to see a kid commit to A&M, stay committed to A&M, sign with A&M out of the state of Louisiana that LSU really wants, especially out of Baton Rouge, before I think that this is even remotely over. So regardless of what happens tomorrow, regardless, I've told you what I feel. I just don't know. I don't see it. I don't see in the long term that him sticking at A&M, because, guys, quite honestly, it'd be one of the very, very, very few that this has happened with. It's going to have to go down, and I'm going to have to see it. And it very well could happen. Not saying that it won't, not saying that it can't. The bottom line is to win and to get over this little hump that you're on. Because, guys, quite honestly, you're in 9-3 purgatory right now. You can say, well, Blake, we went 8-4, 9-4 last year. You're in 9-3 purgatory. That's where you set the last 3 years. If you get over that hump, and the way that you consistently get over that hump is by winning battles in recruiting up front. Guys, I told you that this was coming on Monday. On Monday, I said, listen, this kid's committing on Thursday. The narrative is going to be money, 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 money. And quite honestly, as we discussed on Monday, I am not taking that as an excuse. Now, if things got absolutely ridiculous, I would bend the notion that, yeah, okay, this kid is making a ridiculous amount of money. LSU didn't think he was good enough, even though he's a top 10 player in the country, to pay him the level that this school is paying him. It's not there, though. It's just not there. The level is not exceeded where you don't need to be. It's not there. So you want some sourcing on a recruiting segment. The money is not, for me, the money's not big enough for you to be squabbling over a couple $100,000. It's not. It simply isn't. Because again, I promise you this, come 2, 3, 4 years from now, when you're sitting there and you're squabbling over, man, why didn't we beat Bama on the road? Well, the reason you didn't, or the reason you lost to this team, and the reason you lost to that team is because of what you did up front. Guys, again, I cannot stress this enough. The games that you have lost, more than likely, I can make the argument, maybe other than a fair few of some, I can make the argument the reason that you lost the last 3 years was because in your front seven, you got dominated. I could make the argument that the reason that you didn't perform X, you didn't perform Y, you didn't perform Z for any opponent at any given level. You lost the battle up front. You can lose a safety in Blaine Bradford. I thought Blaine Bradford, for what it's worth, was arguably the best player in the state. And I think that argument is very valid. Whether it be Aiden Hall, who I also think is there. You can lose a safety when you have Aiden Hall in your back pocket because he might be the best player in the state. What you can't do is start losing these battles up front. You can't do it. And you can't squabble over a couple $100,000 or TV revenue money when you can talk about roster, you can talk about whatever you want. You can talk about anything that you want to, but I will throw this out there to you. Ohio State, like the argument is, hey, man, this kid asked for way too much money. You don't want it to be a locker room issue. Okay, that's fair. Ohio State went out and made, outside of Jeremiah Smith, Caleb Downs the highest paid player on their roster. Didn't really affect their locker room when they won a national title, now did it? If you have a good enough culture, doing stuff like that and bringing in great players doesn't affect your culture or your locker room. Your culture and locker room is set by your head coach and by your staff to make sure that your culture is built the way that you need it to be built. It's built on the fact of how you do things and the players that you recruit and bring in there. Don't listen to me on this. Actually, listen to Jay Johnson, who said, hey, why did you win 2 of the last 3 national titles? Yeah, we had a crap load of talent. But in that crap load of talent, like bringing in Paul Skeens and paying him more than anybody, same with Tommy White, paying him more than anybody, was, you know what? Those guys were high character, high-level dudes. We're winning off a culture, guys. Our culture is the best. Makes sense. We will talk about this and what it means, good, bad, or indifferent, tomorrow at great length. But right now, I will tell you, in reference to where he goes, guys, I think it's as much of a dogfight as any recruiting battle that you've ever been in. If we're talking about where he goes, what happens, where's he going to go, the only thing that I would say is this. Unless something changes in the next 15, 20 minutes to an hour, which very much in recruiting can do, I don't know if a lot of people know where the kid's going. I don't think they know. Because I think the family, for what it's worth, is going a little bit silent. Can change any minute. You're in a dogfight. Go win it. Recruiting is the lifeblood that fuels the dreams of champions. Guys, the reason you won a national title in 2019 was because you were the most talented team in 2019. Newsflash. Newsflash. To everybody that's out there, you won it because you had the most talent. It's not that difficult to figure out. And if it is that difficult to figure out, well, I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to tell you. Dale Broussard says, will Lamar Brown want more than $5.1 million fully guaranteed like that kid at Texas Tech? I don't know. Well, first off, there's a couple of things with the Felix Ojo thing. There's a couple of things that got to happen for Felix Ojo to get $5 million over 3 years fully guaranteed. Number one, the salary cap has got to go up. And I say salary cap, meaning the salary cap of TV revenue, which very well could go up next year. I mean, they're anticipating that it goes from 25 to 20 million to 25 million to then 35 million and then to 40 million, and then it gets capped. Because TV revenue money just keeps getting bigger. You get the gist. He gets that with every single incentive being met. Is Felix Ojo. I know a lot of people saw the fully guaranteed headline. You got to read the article in the fine print to find out that he's got to hit every single accolade that they hit in front of him. First team Big 12, first team All-American, all this kind of other shit too. Which I thought was illegal, but apparently it's not. Apparently it's not. So, I mean, it was in the article. I don't know. Do I think he's there? No, I don't think he's remotely close to being there. But I think that you're going to have to pay guys, I hate to say this. It's the world that we're living in. LSU made $57 million last year in TV revenue money. By the way, guys, LSU still makes $30 million off of that. Quick newsflash. So LSU will probably get paid $58 to $60 million this year in TV revenue. They only have to pay the players $20 million of that. There's another $40 million that they can do whatever they want with. They're not as much as all of these schools are saying, "Oh no, poor little me. We're not making. We got to pay the players now. We don't have any money. You gonna get $40 million. Like, don't you dare come to me if you're making $40 million a year complaining about money, brother. I would love it if some of you gave me, guys. I geek out on this show when y'all sending me a $40 super chat. $40 million a year. Boy, get out of my face with that. Get out of my face with that. No, I do not think that he's going to demand that much. But even if he does, you got to ask yourself the question: is that the market? Are you willing to pay that market value? He's not there. He's not there. All right. Another thing before we get to this LSU deep dive here, we're probably going to take a break after this, and then get to do a break and do the LSU deep dive here. Nevertheless, today on social media, LSU freshman offensive lineman Carius Kern posted a video of him working out at LSU. Now, in case you missed it, borderline five-star offensive lineman, whatever services that you want to look at. Carius Kern out of Arkansas posted a video on social media today of him benching 425 pounds, or what looked like was 425 pounds, might be even more. In the rep that was posted on social media of a bench press of him doing, it looked as if that maybe he could have gotten a couple of more reps at 425 pounds, more than just the one that he did. What's interesting about Carius Kern, though, is he's made more waves in this freshman class than anybody LSU has recruited, whether it be the dunk that he had and the basketball dunk that he had, whether it be the cartwheels and backflips that this big 6'5", 325-pound offensive lineman is doing, or today, the just beaut overall strength of Carius Kern as a true freshman, benching 425 pounds. By the way, seeing the Carius Kern video should instantly tell you that little Timmy, your son, that wants to play at LSU in football, and he's 5'8" and 271 pounds, and you're sending me his highlight tape, and he can't bench 135 5 times. Stop DMing me little Timmy's huddle videos. He's not playing at LSU. It's not a shot at you. It's not a shot at little Timmy. But I get about 3 of those a week. Hey, man, look at these. Hey, man, here's my highlight tape. And you're 5'7", 397 pounds, and you don't even play but like special teams. Stop sending me those. But Carius Kern was lifting today and benched 425. Last week, you and I had a discussion, and if you missed it, go over to YouTube and check it out. We did an LSU deep dive before SEC Media Days, before all this shit starts kicking off, and we got so many things that we need to talk about. We talked about LSU's offense at great length last week. In our conversation last week, we had a discussion about the LSU offensive line. The spring struggles that LSU had along the offensive line were very notable. Giving up 6 sacks and a half in the spring game, all of the practices that we were at and we attended, all of the sacks that they were giving up, and under a lot of the pressure that Garrett was under in those practices, it was not good. In the discussion that we had is number one, I did not feel that the starting offensive line with Tyree Adams, Paul Mabenga, DJ Chester, Bo Bordelon, or Cohen Eccles, and Weston Davis was your for sure starting offensive line. I thought that they were going to insert Josh Thompson. I felt like that they were going to insert at some point Braylon Moore and see what happened. And at the end of spring, it did happen. Josh Thompson goes in at left guard. Braylon Moore comes in at center. DJ Chester goes over to right guard. Sounds good. I do think that at least in the start of fall camp is going to be potentially what some believe is going to be the overall aura of the offensive line, of what they're going to try first and see if this works. If that is what they do to some extent, I always felt like that LSU had a little bit of a wild card to see what could happen here. Now, if you remember during spring, Carius Kern was at left tackle. Now, I don't know what LSU's going to do with Carius Kern here. I do not believe that he is a left tackle. I believe that he can be instantly moved to guard and potentially fight for a starting job. Number one, based off of what we saw in spring football at left tackle, by the way, and based off of some of the things that we've seen in reference to strength, the overall body of work, the just big-time 5-star potential that you could have here. Hey, he looked different than all the other kids on the second team. There was something a little bit different with Carius Kern when you were out there and you saw him versus the second team. Could he make a jump and push for some guys and getting some first-team reps? Now, what you probably just heard me say, hey, is he a day one starter? Is he going to start against Clemson? I don't know that. I do think he's a massive wild card, though. I want to see me personally. I hope that I get the chance personally, and I hope that all of you get the chance when Brian Kelly allows some of the media portion of these fall practices. I really hope that we get the chance to see Carius Kern at guard. I really want to see that. Guys, last year I liked Miles Frazier. I liked Dellinger. I liked DJ Chester. Guys, the interior of your offensive line did not have didn't really have a good year. Your O-line didn't really have a great year in run blocking. I felt like you had no power and no push. I felt like you didn't have a lot of toughness. Well, this kid's in here already benching 425 as a freshman, and he's only going to get bigger. I say leaner, but bigger in the sense of just lifting. This kid's benching 425, and he could have hit more reps. Now, that's not lightweight. It's not light at all. You know, some of you in the conversation of the video said, Blake, I saw 425 on the bar, and I thought he was going to squat and be like, okay, yeah, that's cool. He benched it. What's he squatting? Guys, you need more than anything along your offensive line. And I'm not saying that Emory Jones and I'm not saying Will Campbell did not provide this for you. Carius Kern, to me, feels like one of those old school players, big-time old school players, who's just a mauler. It's what it feels like to me. Need to see him move in at guard. Need to see him go up against another really strong human being and a massive human being to move in Sadir Mitchell and see if he's ready for this. And we make a determination. But as Leonardo DiCaprio said in that movie one time, at first you had my curiosity. Because Carius Kern has got my attention now. Full-blown attention. You know, when Will Campbell came in here, I never remember a time when Brian Kelly was hired and we would go out to practices with Brian Kelly. I never remember a time with Will Campbell, maybe once, maybe. I never really remember a time of him, though, ever not being the left tackle under Brian Kelly. I don't remember. Now, Emory Jones, if you remember, was not the starter at right tackle. That was Cam Wire. Insert Emory Jones, off to the races we went. And he never left from right tackle. Carius Kern did not come in here and have the quote-unquote Will Campbell effect. Because Will Campbell came in during spring, if I remember, and when Brian Kelly took over, he maybe was a practice, maybe, and then he was at left tackle. It did not take long at all. I really hope that we get the advantage because I feel like even with those talented two players, I felt like in the interior you've lacked some real serious toughness. I think the kid's got it. I think the kid's got it. And if you're going to put Braylon Moore at center, which I don't know if you are, or even DJ Chester, you need some power and some oomph in that run. Guys, the best part about having a running game, the biggest part about having a good running game is your offensive lineman's getting push. Can he pick the game up quickly? It's probably massive that he came in here in the spring. I don't know if mentally or physically, Carius Kern is ready. It does start seeming like physically he might be there. And he's only going to get better with it. He only gets better with age. It's like a fine wine. We'll see. We will see. But as I mentioned earlier, Carius Kern had my curiosity. During spring, he had my entire curiosity. Now he's got my attention. Let's see what the young man can do. I do not agree with the decision to keep him at left tackle. I do not agree with it. It's where he was pretty much all spring. Move his big ass move his big ass to guard. Move him to guard. See what you got there. Guys, he's 6'5", 325 plus pounds. He's not a tackle. Now, LSU might keep him there, depending on what happens. There's no telling. Put that big son of a bitch at guard and let him go, baby. Let's roll. I will tell you, he does remind me of Tyler Booker a little from Bama, who just got drafted. He reminds me of Tyler Booker. When I see Carius Kern, it's what I think of. Just an outright mauler. He reminds me of some of those Georgia offensive linemen. He reminds me, I'm trying to think of, I don't even know if LSU's had the interior offensive lineman, but I think that he is. He's just a mauler, man. And you need that intensity up front. So we'll see. All right. Let me do this. Let me get to a quick break. When we come back, we'll talk about and do an LSU deep dive next. Defensively, deep dive next. Stay with us. Guys, I want to talk to you about our good friends over the Drake Williams Law Firm and Drake Title Company. Are you facing tough times due to an injury from a car accident, navigating the complexities of divorce, or purchasing a new home? At the Drake Williams Law Firm and Drake Title Company, they understand the challenges you're going through, and they are here to help. The lawyer team of Ernie Drake III, Ryan J. Williams, and Summer Vignair along with Morgan Daniels, have the experience and proven track record to give you that peace of mind. Give them a call today at 985-386-7600. That's 985-386-7600 to schedule a free consultation at their brand new office located in historic downtown Ponchatoula. They're also doing a special, the AYS special. If you're refinancing or closing on a home in Southeast Louisiana, request the Drake Title Company to handle your closing. If you mention Blake Ruffino and AYS, you're going to receive a $400 discount on title fees. Again, give them a call at 985-386-7600. Let them know that Blake Ruffino sent you on by. Guys, you might know my good friend Carol Falls and all the great service that he provides over at State Farm. He is your good neighbor after all. But did you know State Farm has surprisingly great rates as well? Along with the great neighbor service, State Farm agent Carol Falls has surprisingly great rates for everyone inside the state of Louisiana. So call him today at 985-395-4300, 985-395-4300 for all of those surprisingly great rates on auto, home, and life insurance needs. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there, and individual premiums will vary by customer. All applicants subject to the State Farm underwriting requirement. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way for you to wager on all of your favorite sports, contests, events with the first-to-market odds and lines. Find reviews for all the news for each league, including Major League Baseball, NFL, NBA, NHL, combat sports, college sports, esports, and even golf. BetOnline continues to be the top online resource for all of your sports information for live in-game betting, props, and futures. Head on over to BetOnline today and use your mobile device to join and make your first sports bet. Use our promo code BELIEVE50, that's BELIEVE50, BLEAV 50, to receive your 50% off welcome bonus on your first deposit. That's betonline.ag, betonline.ag.
We're back.
All right, we do have some interesting news here. I don't think I'm going to get to it here because it's very new. Just something to monitor here for all of those that want to be informed about college athletics. So, Ed Ingram is a good one. I don't think he's Ed Ingram. I think he's much more of a mauler than Ed Ingram, if I'm being honest. But Damian Lewis, yeah, gritty, that they could be really good there. Really quickly, Ross Dellinger is reporting that members of the U.S. House are planning as soon as Thursday to introduce an amendment college sports bill, the SCORE Act. Sources tell him and Yahoo Sports. Though opposed by many Democrats, the act is on track to progress further than any all-encompassing athlete compensation legislation. Looks like we might have some ruling from the federal government in reference to NIL. Shit. Well, I don't know if it passes. You got a lot of Republicans who still believe that students should make ungodly amounts of money. We'll see. I don't know. Something to monitor here. All right. I kind of wish I had more than 9 minutes. I guess I could technically go as long as I wanted to here on this. But last week we did a deep dive before SEC Media Days, and we spoke a lot about LSU's offense. The good, the bad, the ugly, the things that they did excellent in a year ago, the things that they didn't do excellent a year ago, things that they don't necessarily need to improve on, things they did really good on, but a lot of areas of concern like the red zone and so many other things that the LSU offense needed to work on. And I told you last week that this time, next week, meaning today, that we would be talking about LSU defense and really looking into them before we hit SEC Media Days. And there's so many narratives that are flying out there for everything that now we know them to be. LSU, during the offseason, brought in 5 new defensive linemen from the transfer portal. Jack Pyburn, Zadir Mitchell, Bernard Gooden, Patrick Payton, Jamari Butler are all 5 of the players that LSU brought in defensively from the transfer portal. And now that we have taken a step back now that we know the outright roster that LSU is going into Clemson with, you went out and got 5 players on the defensive line from the transfer portal. Does that not scream what Blake Baker and this defense felt and this defensive staff felt, with this administration, with this coaching staff felt was the biggest problem defensively? Because it was. Now, you can make the argument, well, Blake, we went out and got a lot of DBs. Yeah, but you went out and got 5 defensive linemen. Only 4 can play along with DBs. You went out and got 5 different dudes, all with experience, whether it be Jack Pyburn, Sadir Mitchell, Bernard Gooden, Patrick Payton, or Jamari Butler. Sadir Mitchell being on the experience level the least of all of those. Guys, LSU has had defensively, and I think that Blake Baker made the case during the season and now going into the offseason, we have to be better up front. The X's and O's are a great thing, but we got to go get some Jimmies and Joes. And you feel like, especially at edge, that you've hit on that with Patrick Payton, Jack Pyburn, Jamari Butler, and now developing a guy like Gabe Rutherford. That is what you feel like you've done. But you go out and you get 2 guys that you think that can provide some pass rush for you outside of Harold Perkins and outside of what you did not get from the interior defensive line a season ago. Guys, you got no push into the pocket a season ago to help out a guy like Braden Swinson, who did some really incredible things. You know, one thing that LSU can tip their cap to and hang their hat on is that you were the top 25 in sacks a year ago. And a lot of that had to do with really some of the play calling that you did last year, but it had a lot to do with number 4 too, and the talent that he possessed. Now, you look at Patrick Payton, who, by the way, on EA Sports College Football, the 26, Patrick Payton is damn near unblockable in that game, which makes it so fun to play with LSU defensively. You went out there because you could not stop the run game. You couldn't stop the running back, the quarterback from running the football. And you feel like with having Jacoby and Guillory come back, with having Sadir Mitchell to come back, with having a second year with Ahmad Bro and Don McKinley going into a second year, do you feel the best in reference to the depth that you have on the defensive line than guys, quite honestly, that you've had under Brian Kelly? Because outside of Mekhi Wingo and Jaquelin Roy in year 1, and when Mason Smith did return with Mekhi Wingo and Mekhi Wingo got hurt, guys, depth-wise, you did not do well at all. Then you get into last year where a lot of things for this defense improved. You know, you go from 108th in the country in total defense under Matt House in year 2. You get into the top 75, which still is not good, but at least you made progress from year to year in a first year of a defensive coordinator. Well, that's a little bit promising, because the question becomes, for me, when I look at LSU defensively, and I've made this very public and known, I do think that they can be a top 30 defense going in or this upcoming season. I think that they can be there. I think they are vastly more talented, and I can make the argument the most talented defense that you've had since 2022, when you did go out there and get a lot of transfers again, ironically. I do look at this team up front and say to myself, outside of what you did a season ago, and say to myself, with Braden Swinson, whoever you want to bring up in that, because the talent is there. There are some very talented pieces for you defensively. There are things that this team has got to show that they can do. Guys, number 1 in the front 7, they got to show that they can be physical at the point of attack. They have to show with Sadir Mitchell, Jacoby and Guillory, Don McKinley, Ahmad Bro, Patrick Payton, Jack Pyburn, Jamari Butler, Gabe Rutherford. They have got to show with the linebackers in Whit Weeks, Keys, West Weeks, whoever it is, they have to show that they're not constantly going to get pushed around in these big, high-profile games like they have been. the number one area that you did the most in. You went out and got Bernard Gooden. You went out and got Sadir Mitchell. You had a 5-star returning in Don McKinley. You got back Jacoby and Guillory, who's a 6-year senior. So many different, Ahmad Bro, so many different things that you did to solidify your defensive line that you think for once that you can do something special there. And maybe you can. Maybe you can. Because you're not going to be better defensively until that unit is better. You just simply are not. Guys, you cannot continue. This is not just a one-year Blake Baker thing. It was a multi-year situation of the same thing defensively happening to you. You know, one thing is for sure is we talked a lot about the safety room last year for LSU and 2 years ago with Major Burns and Sage Ryan. Because Major Burns and Sage Ryan are not getting blown off the ball 4 or 5 yards off the ball. The run game starts with your front seven. It really starts with your defensive line, but it starts with your front seven. Just because Sage Ryan is not making the tackle to save a touchdown does not mean that they weren't getting blown up front. It's not what that means. Now, there comes a situation where I look at this team and say, okay, I can fully buy into the front seven. At edge, I have fully bought in. I am there. The edge position from a run defense and from a pass rush defense, for me, is in a place where I look at them and say, I feel very confident that they're going to take the next step. You bring in Kyle Williams, who, guys, for me, I don't think Kyle Williams knows less about defensive line play overall than Bo Davis. I wonder if he can communicate it like Bo Davis. But what I saw in spring was I don't know if he can't do that, because it seems like he can't. What I do think is you're not going anywhere of relevance unless that position group, that defensive line position group, is better than they were a season ago, and they were better 2 years ago. 2 years ago, you had the Heisman Trophy winner and 2 first-round wide receivers, and because of that front seven, guys, you went 9-3. You went 9-3. It wasn't good enough. Now, last year, offensively, you did get better, but offensively, you weren't better than you were in 2023, and your defensive flaws showed up just as much as it did the previous year in some situations. Guys, last year, you did have some injuries. Jacoby and Guillory going down, Harold Perkins going down. You weren't at full strength. And when you had some of those losses, some of the times you couldn't overcome them. The question for LSU defensively for me are these two things. They all revolve around the front. I do think that this staff defensively has shown at other places up front, under Blake Baker in year 2, with Kevin Peoples at edge, and I get with Kyle Williams, and that is a question mark, because the big jump for Missouri was year 2 with Blake Baker. And defensively, the things that they did in the portal, especially at edge, that set the tone for them. Now, I know that Jane Daniels and them up in 2023 went up there and made Blake Baker look like a fool. The problem is that Blake Baker made everybody look like a fool. I mean, Jane Daniels made everybody look like a fool. Made everybody, Nick Saban included. Nick Saban said it was the best player that he saw on the field the last 2 years, and he was right. I think that this team and this entire team going into the season, because of Garrett, which is warranted, because of the wide receivers, which is warranted, and because of the explosiveness offensively that we all think that they could have, I think has overshadowed really what LSU has done up front with the edge unit. I think it's overshadowed. I think because of what they did at edge, I think because of the development that I think that you're going to get in your defensive line, I think that they can be a top 30 unit. Now, guys, the likelihood of you making a massive leap is sometimes rare, but a lot of times with good coordinators, it's not. Guys, can you imagine what Garrett Nussmeier and this offense can do with a couple more stops? What could the defense done a year ago with less turnovers? Everything with this defense revolves in the front seven. Every single thing about it. Now, Whit Weeks is coming off the bowl game injury. Gus, he was your leading tackler a year ago. 125 tackles, 10 tackles for loss, 3.5 sacks. But in some of those games, again, you got pushed around. And I don't think it was all on Whit Weeks, but there were some games that he disappeared. Texas A&M is the game that comes to mind. You're not winning anything of relevance. You're not getting into the playoff unless that unit finally hits. Now, if and when that unit hits, I think it then makes what they did in their DB room that much better and that much more special. Because I know that LSU brought in a lot of different defensive backs. Guys, your entire secondary is going to look completely different than what it did a year ago. Completely different. All new starters basically going to be rolled out there to some extent. Maybe a safety in Jordan Gilbert, maybe Ashton Stamps. But guys, outside of at nickel, you're going to do something different. At star, you're doing something different. You're bringing A.J. Halsey. You're doing something different there. You brought in Mansour Delane. You brought in DJ Pickett. You brought in Jakeem Jackson. There's so many different things that you did in your DB room, which will mean nothing if you can't stop the run. Guys, you did not, for what it's worth, give up in some of these big games a lot of passing yards. You just got ran all over. And teams are going to, and Clemson is going to, and teams like Florida and South Carolina are going to try and test you again on the ground to see if you've made any adjustments. So we can talk about, even though I think that they're going to be a top 30 unit, even though I think they're one of the better teams in the country, if not the best team in the country at edge, that might go to the University of Texas. But I think LSU's right up there with them. It all revolves around what they do in their front seven. Is Donovan Keys ready to play? Is he ready to go? Do you have both Weeks brothers as starters? I don't know any of those answers. What I do know is I think you got vastly better up front. I think it might be the deepest that you've ever been at defensive tackle in Brian Kelly's era and tenure. I do think that you have the deepest edge room that you've had in your entire existence in the last 4 years of Brian Kelly. It is your deepest room right now. Guys, if Jamari Butler, for what it's worth, who had double-digit 16 tackles for loss last year, if that young man is your third option at edge, hell, it might even be your fourth option with the emergence of Gabe Relaford. If that is your fourth guy, third or fourth guy, guys, that's a guy that literally did some really great things in the Big Ten. Big Ten won the last 2 national titles and did some good things against those teams that won them. Michigan being included. Michigan had 4 of their 5 offensive linemen drafted, and it was the best unit that they had the year that they won the national title. Guys, go put in that Nebraska-Michigan film. He obliterates them. He is all over the place. That's what starts giving you the excitement of what this team can ultimately do. Now, you did not make a move at linebacker. I did not agree with not making a move at linebacker during the portal, but Blake Baker didn't. I'm going to give him the due diligence of saying to him, hey, man, the first year you were at LSU, Damon Clark happened. How much is that just Damon Clark being Damon Clark? But secondly, I'm going to give him the other shot with Whit Weeks here and these other linebackers. I think it's one of the sleepiest areas on your team where I think you got a lot of talent. You got a lot of speed there. Let's see what happens, and maybe they can do something with it. At DB, I think that you're in an interesting spot. You bring in a lot of experience with Mansour Delane. You bring in a lot of experience with A.J. Halsey. You bring in a lot of experience in some of these moves that you made. And I say a lot of experience. Maybe Cooley, I say he has a lot of experience, but he played a lot for NC State a year ago. And you brought in a lot of talent. You brought in the number one corner in the country this year as a freshman in DJ Pickett. And you brought in the top 50 overall player in the country last year, who you hope emerges here in year two, with Deshaun Spears from Denham Springs, the top 50 overall recruit. Guys, I could be convinced that this DB room could either be really, really good or really, really bad. I think Mansour Delane has shown in the ACC, when he's gone up against some really talented receivers, that he's done some really good things. Jakeem Jackson is someone that Corey Raymond has now recruited twice and wanted to bring him wherever he went. Is he a guy that we can definitely utilize? Just one of these young corners, and I don't even know if you can consider now that he's a junior, Ashton Stamps, to be a young corner. But can a guy like Ashton Stamps stand up? Can Michael Turner, who had a massive spring, stand up? Can P.J. Woodland stand up and make some really good things happen? Guys, I do think that you're more talented with Mansour Delane at corner alone. I think DJ Pickett adds to that level, and I don't know how long you're going to be able to keep number 3 off the field, if we're being honest. Based off of what we saw this spring, guys, he just was really making some really freaking good plays. And if that's the level of play you're going to get from DJ Pickett, well, I think midway through the season, at worst, you're going to be seeing a hell of a lot of situations from DJ Pickett at corner. Regardless, guys, I got to be real with you. I just don't know. There were a lot of great things that this DB room did during spring. A lot of really, really good things. I want to see him again through the fall before we make a determination going into the season. You got some talent there. We'll see. Last but not least, safety. Here's my only thought about safety. It is very simple, and it is this. I just don't see any realm of the imagination where you can be worse. Could it? I don't know if at safety you can be worse than what you were with Sage Ryan and Major Burns. I do not mean that in a wrong way to Major Burns or anybody. Guys, you were god-awful. You were horrible. Even with the front seven getting blown off the ball as often in some of these games as they did, even with that, guys, the safety position is the last line of defense, and they did not make enough plays to justify being in the uniform that they were in. Didn't justify it. It just didn't. I like A.J. Halsey a lot. We've seen A.J. Halsey literally against us in a smaller school run down Jaden Daniels. How many people can say that's played LSU under Brian Kelly? Not many. Not many. Ran him down. Deshaun Spears is the X factor. He is the X factor. I don't think that Jordan Gilbert starting for you is what LSU needs to do. I don't think that you just take a starting position away from him, but Deshaun Spears made way too many plays in spring for you to not give this kid a shot. Hopefully he does that again in the fall, and you're off to the races. The kid's rangy. Can he cover? Can he cover? 6'3", 210. Let's hope that he can do that. And if, God forbid, you got a 6'4" corner, you can have a lot of size, mega paws, but you can have a lot of size out there. Guys, regardless of all of that, I just believe that there's no way that you can look at this team defensively and say to yourself, you don't feel better about what you've done along the defensive front, You feel like Whit Weeks gets better in a real true year 2 of starting. And guys, can you really be that much worse at safety? Top 30 unit defensively might be a little bullish because you got to do a lot of really good things to get there. But guys, if your front seven does not perform, you ain't going anywhere. You're just not going to go anywhere. And all the statistics, all the shit that we talk about, every single little detail about, hey, man, we talk about the same things over and over and over and over and over and over and over again about the offense, about the defense, about the special teams. Guys, the reason we do that is because it fucking matters. It's why you're losing. So you can hate the repeat. It's just the truth. So when you go into SEC Media Days next week, we talk about the storylines for you offensively. If anybody going into SEC Media Days wants to ask Brian Kelly a question, he's coach, hey, what are you going to do in your front seven to get better to stop some of these teams from running all over you? It's got to be the question. And he basically could say, have you seen our edge players? Now I'll answer the question. So we'll see. Maurice says, Halsey ain't going for it. Let a dog be a dog. You got to let a dog be a dog, man. And quite honestly, guys, some of the things, here's why I'm really bullish. I didn't want to point this kid out, but I'm going to do it. I talked about this a lot during the spring. Jack Pyburn is a dude. I don't know if Jack Pyburn is going to be a lighted up All-American, and he very well may not be. But one thing that he's going to do is he's going to give you more intensity than you've seen on that defensive line under the Brian Kelly era, and that's a fact. He is going to give you max effort, and he's breeded that along the defensive line. You didn't have a lot of dog in you last year. You had a lot of poodle. And toy poodle, not poodle. Standard poodles are pretty mean. Standard poodles are pretty mean. So, yeah. Maurice says, when does fall camp start? In about 2.5 weeks. Everybody, I had some people saying, Blake, why are you already doing these deep dives? Yeah, because guys, on like August the 4th, we're out there. So less than a month. So 3 weeks, 2.5, 3 weeks. Guys, it's here. You're about, what is that? So it'll be the 10th tomorrow. 20 some odd days away? And we're in fall practice? And I'm coming out here saying, hey guys, here we go. Here's a practice report. Let's talk about it. Yo, Blake, why you low-key spitting? Spitting? Like a spit flying out of my mouth, pause? Or am I spitting like, hey, man, this dude's saying a lot of really good stuff, so he's spitting? Milo392 on YouTube says, I recall last year when Alabama visited Baton Rouge and effortlessly bypassed the entire secondary. Everyone was afraid to tackle Milroe. Yeah. I mean, Milo, let's call it what it is. Okay? Your secondary, no, I'm not going to put that on because Ashton Stamps would try to tackle somebody. What's his name? 14. God bless it. Alexander, wasn't it? He would try to tackle somebody. At safety, you were running away from people. Guys, South Carolina ran an inverted veer. Some of you go to play college football right now. I want you to do me a favor. Go to the option button. Or when you're on offense and you have play calls, go to the option section on concepts. And there's going to be a section there that says inverted veer. I want you to look at that play and hit pause on your PlayStation or Xbox. Then I want you to go look at the Lenore Sellers 75-plus yard run on LSU and tell me two things. Number one, are they not doing basic inverted veer concepts? Number one. Then number two, I want you to go look at number three and tell me if he did not back away from wanting to tackle Lenore Sellers. Come on, man. JJ says, no, spitting facts, my boy. Yeah. Yeah. I think defensively you can be really good. I do. I do think the offense has overshadowed some of you a little bit offensively. And I mean, offensively has overshadowed you somewhat a little bit defensively. Guys, listen to me. How about this? Because I've learned my lesson. Let me say it like this. Practice doesn't indicate always what will happen on the field. It doesn't. Not in the games or in the season. I'm only going based off of the information that I know right now. If you saw what I saw during spring, sheesh. Guys, the entire interior offensive line could not move Sadir Mitchell. There wasn't one rep where they moved him. Not like that. He's stalling them at the point of attack. The one time that Sadir Mitchell got moved is because it was a lot of like dew on the ground, and his foot slid out from under him and he got rolled over on because he slipped. And that's the play that he got hurt, and luckily he came back. He was fine. Guys, he didn't get moved by anybody. Guys, I've seen Jacoby and Guillory up close and personal during practice for 3 years. That shit has never happened. Don McKinley, Mason Smith, there is not a defensive lineman where I've seen that just in the run game hasn't been moved to some extent, like Sadir Mitchell. He's nose tackle galore. Dylan says, Blake, young to LSU, # future third base. I don't know that yet. I don't know that. Speaking of baseball, if y'all want some baseball talk, let me pull up my notes. There is somebody on LSU's campus right now, Kansas right-handed pitcher Cooper Moore, who is out of Kansas, had a 3.96 ERA last year, 85 strikeouts, 19 walks, and 88 2/3 innings. He's on LSU's campus right now, and LSU's hot and heavy after him. So we'll see. I don't know if Braden Simpson's not your starting third baseman, or John Pearson. That's where I think they lean. All right, before we get out of here, need to talk about our good friends over at Section 103. Guys, go over to Section 103. Use the promo code AYS at checkout. You will get a 10% off your order on any purchase. Guys, they got national championship shirts. I actually going to pull this up. I think I got my white hat in here somewhere. Hold on. You need to get over to Section 103 and get this hat right here. Dog, there's not a cleaner hat that you can get that is LSU related and fits as good as this one right here from Section 103. Go over there, use that promo code AYS at checkout, get 10% off of that order. I love all of the Section 103 gear, national championship shirts. Guys, I wore one of their shirts to the gym today. Like they are really comfortable, really, really, really comfortable, and they fit very well. I'm telling you, some of the best gear on the market. You go over there, use that promo code as well. All right. We'll see y'all tomorrow, 1 p.m. Be there. Have fun. Stay good. Go play some EA Sports, College Football 26. We'll see y'all tomorrow. Peace.